Beyonce is done. The queen bee is running. People are saying she just fled the country in the middle of the night, and it has nothing to do with a vacation. This whole situation has the internet absolutely spinning because the woman we thought was untouchable might actually be the biggest victim in Hollywood history. Everybody thought they knew the full story about Beyonce and Jay-Z moving to the UK. Romantic getaway, right? New chapter for the power couple, escaping the LA chaos for some English countryside vibes. That was the version everyone repeated, the fairy tale, the goals content plastered all over social media. But now, leaked insider information got the whole narrative twisting. We're not talking about a move, we're talking about an escape, an emergency extraction. Sources are whispering that Beyonce didn't leave America for luxury. She left because she's literally fighting for her life and her children's lives. Let me break this down because what's happening right now is straight insane. TMZ just dropped breadcrumbs about the Carter family's sudden UK relocation, but they're not telling you the real story. The official narrative? Business opportunities and international expansion. That's what the PR teams want you to believe. But fans online turned into full-blown investigators, and what they're uncovering is absolutely chilling. Check this out. Multiple sources close to the situation are reporting that Beyonce had a complete breakdown after the Epstein files leaked Jay-Z's name. We're not talking about a little argument. Witnesses describe a scene where she allegedly confronted him, screaming that he had ruined everything, before collapsing. This is a woman who has built her entire brand on being flawless, and she shattered. Now, online detectives took this to a whole new level. They started analyzing Beyonce's social media patterns, her public appearances, even her body language in recent photos. And folks online swear something shifted dramatically around the time those files went public. They're comparing her energy from 6 months ago to now, and it's like looking at two completely different people. Frame by frame, fans are studying her last public appearances, the forced smiles, the way she stands slightly away from Jay-Z in photos, the fact that she's been wearing significantly more black lately, which some believe is a spiritual signal. People are claiming she's been trying to send distress signals through her fashion choices, her lyrics, even the way she positions herself in photographs. But it gets even crazier. Remember when Beyonce suddenly dropped 10 million Instagram followers seemingly overnight? The media tried to spin it as a bot purge, or people being mad about her Netflix deal. That's the lie they sold you. Sources are now saying that was a coordinated attack. Industry elites allegedly ordered a digital assassination of her brand to punish her for trying to break free from their control. They're using her own fame as a weapon against her. Think about it. This is a woman who has been untouchable for decades. The Beehive would defend her against literally anything. But suddenly, millions of accounts disappear? That doesn't happen organically. That's orchestrated. That's powerful people saying, "We own you. We can destroy everything you've built." And honestly, the Nicki Minaj situation makes so much more sense now. When Nicki went on that satanic rant, everybody thought she was attacking Beyonce out of jealousy. But insiders are whispering something completely different. They're saying Nicki was trying to warn her that the whole explosive tirade was actually a desperate SOS signal, trying to wake Beyonce up to the child predator ring allegedly operating right under her nose. Nicki wasn't the villain, she was trying to be the hero. Let's keep it real. The evidence keeps piling up. Fans discovered that Beyonce's friendship with Oprah Winfrey intensified right around the time certain industry scandals started bubbling up. And now people are asking, was Oprah really her friend? Or was she assigned as a handler, someone to keep Beyonce under surveillance, to make sure she stayed quiet, to ensure she didn't expose the industry's darkest secrets? The same questions are being asked about Ellen DeGeneres. These weren't genuine friendships. These were strategic placements, prison guards disguised as mentors. And Beyonce, she was so focused on her career, so dedicated to perfection, that she didn't see the cage being built around her. Now, let's get into the motive, because this is where everything starts clicking into place like the most twisted puzzle you've ever seen. Jay-Z has been dealing with serious reputation destruction for months now. His empire didn't just crack, it's crumbling in real time. Think about it. This man went from being called a business genius, a mogul, the blueprint for black excellence in entertainment, to having his name appear in documents connected to Jeffrey Epstein. That kind of fall-off hits different. That's not a scandal you recover from. That's legacy-destroying information. Back in their peak, people say Jay-Z and Beyonce were the ultimate power couple, pulling in hundreds of millions annually. Their combined net worth was estimated at over $1.8 billion. They were literally music royalty. Untouchable, unstoppable, the American dream personified. But now, reports suggest Jay-Z is frantically trying to protect his assets, moving money, calling in favors from every corner of the industry. Meanwhile, Beyonce is watching the man she trusted, the father of her children, get exposed for allegedly being connected to some of the most disturbing networks in modern history. That can spark some real terror fast. Not envy, not anger, pure primal fear. And it gets worse for them. The timeline is absolutely damning when you lay it all out. Sources close to the family say Beyonce was completely blindsided by the Epstein connections. She had allegedly no idea about Jay-Z's associations with certain circles. She thought she married a businessman. She thought she married someone who shared her values. Instead, she woke up one day and realized she'd been sleeping next to someone she didn't know at all. Put all that together, and it looks like the perfect recipe for a complete psychological breakdown. This isn't just about a marriage falling apart. This is about a woman realizing her entire life might have been built on lies. Every red carpet, every collaboration, every business deal, all of it potentially tainted by associations she never consented to. But here's where the story gets even darker. Multiple insiders are now claiming that Beyonce has been trying to leave for years, that this isn't a sudden decision. They're saying she has been planning an exit strategy since at least 2021, but every time she got close to breaking free, something would happen. A new business opportunity that required her to stay, a family crisis that demanded her presence, convenient obstacles that seemed to appear right when she was about to walk away. That's not coincidence, that's control. This is a woman being held hostage by her own success, by her own brand, by the very industry that made her a star. They built her up specifically so they could use her. Her talent became their shield, her image became their cover, and when she finally tried to reclaim her own life, they started tearing it all down. The financial aspect is crucial here too. Beyonce has her own fortune, completely separate from Jay-Z. She doesn't need him economically, but sources say their business entanglements are so complex, so deliberately intertwined, that separating would expose certain financial structures that powerful people want to keep hidden. It's not about money, it's about what the money trail would reveal. And let's talk about the spiritual warfare angle, because this is where things get genuinely disturbing. While mainstream media mocks her for witchcraft and Illuminati conspiracies, people close to Beyonce are telling a completely different story. They're saying her interest in spirituality, her rituals, her crystals, her meditation practices, those aren't about worshiping dark forces. Those are desperate attempts to cleanse herself and her family from what she believes are demonic attachments that Jay-Z allegedly brought into their home. Think about that for a second. This woman is so terrified of spiritual contamination that she's performing protective rituals. She's trying to fight a battle that most people don't even believe exists. Whether you believe in spiritual warfare or not, the fact that she believes it tells you everything about her mental state right now. She's not just scared of legal consequences or public scandal. She believes she's fighting for her soul. But here's the part that really hits different, and I need you to understand the human cost of what's happening right now. The ones who got caught up in the middle of all this are 3 innocent children, Blue Ivy, Rumi, and Sir. These kids barely understand what fame means, and they're being raised in the center of what might be the biggest scandal in entertainment history. That's messed up on a level that's hard to even process. Leaked information suggests Beyoncé is in full mama bear mode right now. This isn't about her career anymore. This isn't about her reputation. This is about protecting her babies from a world that she now sees as genuinely dangerous. Sources describe her as being in constant survival mode, planning every move like a chess game, where her children's safety is the only thing that matters. You can see it in the way she's been moving. The sudden relocation to a fortress-like property in the Cotswolds. That's not a vacation home, that's a compound. High walls, private security, isolated from the public. That's a woman building a bunker for her family because she doesn't trust anyone anymore. And here's what really breaks my heart about this situation. Beyoncé spent her entire career being the strong one, the flawless one, the one who never showed weakness, never showed cracks, never let the world see her struggle. She built an entire brand on perfection. And now she's allegedly having panic attacks. She's reportedly dealing with severe anxiety. She's described by people close to her as being a shell of herself. That's somebody's mother. That's somebody's daughter. That's a human being who is dealing with trauma that most of us can't even imagine. She's watching her husband's legacy burn. She's watching her own reputation get questioned by association. She's watching her children grow up in the shadow of scandals they didn't create. And through it all, she's expected to smile, to perform, to be Beyoncé. The emotional toll of maintaining that facade while your entire world is collapsing, that's not something you bounce back from easily. Reports say she's been in intensive therapy, working with trauma specialists, trying to process decades of potential manipulation and control. This isn't a celebrity having a bad week. This is a human being experiencing a complete psychological unraveling. And the worst part, she can't even grieve publicly. She can't break down. She can't be honest about what she's going through. Because the moment she shows vulnerability, the vultures will circle. The media will tear her apart. The internet will create memes. Her pain will become entertainment. So she suffers in silence, behind closed doors, while the world speculates about her marriage and her choices. Now, this whole situation gets even crazier when you realize how deep the Hollywood connections actually go. Let's talk about the Oprah situation again, because the more you dig into it, the more disturbing it becomes. Oprah Winfrey has been positioned as America's favorite person for decades, the woman everyone trusts, the cultural mother figure. But people are starting to ask uncomfortable questions about her relationships with certain controversial figures. Fans online have been working like full-blown investigators, creating timelines of Oprah's connections. Her friendship with Harvey Weinstein, her association with John of God, the Brazilian healer who was later convicted of horrific crimes, her connections to various industry figures who have since been exposed for misconduct, and now her intensified friendship with Beyoncé right when all of this Jay-Z drama started surfacing. Is it possible that Oprah genuinely cares about Beyoncé? Sure. But it's also possible that she was assigned to keep tabs on her, to make sure she stayed in line, to ensure that if Beyoncé ever thought about speaking out, there would be someone close enough to shut it down. That's how control works in powerful circles. You don't need obvious threats, you need trusted faces who can manipulate from the inside. The same pattern emerges with Ellen DeGeneres. Remember when Ellen's own workplace toxicity scandal broke? Remember how quickly that got memory hold? How fast the public moved on? That's not organic. That's protection. That's powerful people deciding that Ellen was too valuable to let fall completely. And if Ellen has that kind of protection, what does she owe in return? Meanwhile, let's circle back to the Nicki Minaj warning because there are layers to that situation that people completely missed. When Nicki went on her rant about lowercase gods and satanic influences in the industry, everyone focused on the drama. Nobody paid attention to the specifics of what she was saying. She was talking about rituals, about sacrifices, about people selling their souls for fame. And now, sources are claiming that Nicki was specifically trying to warn Beyonce about what was happening in her own home. That Jay-Z's alleged involvement with certain circles wasn't just about business or networking. It was about something far more sinister, something that Nicki had witnessed or heard about through industry whispers. She was trying to sound the alarm, but everyone dismissed her as jealous or crazy. Think about how often that happens. Someone tries to expose something real, and they get labeled as mentally unstable. Their credibility gets destroyed. Their message gets lost in the noise. That's on design. That's how powerful people maintain their secrets. They don't silence whistleblowers directly anymore. They just discredit them so thoroughly that nobody takes them seriously. And it's not just Nicki. Other artists have tried to speak out over the years. Kanye West has been ranting about industry control for almost a decade now. Dave Chappelle walked away from $50 million and tried to tell people why. Lauryn Hill disappeared from music entirely. Cat Williams has been trying to warn people for years, but they all get the same treatment, labeled as crazy, unstable, conspiracy theorists. But what if they're not crazy? What if they're the only ones brave enough to tell the truth? What if Beyonce is finally waking up to the same reality that drove all of them to break their silence? The pattern is undeniable when you step back and look at the bigger picture. Artists blow up. They become massive stars. They get everything they ever dreamed of. And then something changes. They start looking tired, scared, controlled. They start making weird public statements. They start behaving erratically. And eventually, they either stay in line or they get destroyed. Beyonce is at that crossroads right now. She's watching her husband face potential legal consequences. She's watching her own reputation get questioned by association. She's watching her children grow up in the shadow of scandals they didn't create. And through it all, she's expected to smile, to perform, to be Beyonce. The emotional toll of maintaining that facade while your entire world is collapsing, that's not something you bounce back from easily. Reports say she's been in intensive therapy, working with trauma specialists, trying to process decades of potential manipulation and control. This isn't a celebrity having a bad week. This is a human being experiencing a complete psychological unraveling. And the worst part, she can't even grieve publicly. She can't break down. She can't be honest about what she's going through. Because the moment she shows vulnerability, the vultures will circle. The media will tear her apart. The internet will create memes. Her pain will become entertainment. So she suffers in silence, behind closed doors, while the world speculates about her marriage and her choices. What we're seeing here is something way bigger than just one celebrity marriage falling apart. This is about the cost of fame in America. This is about what happens when you reach the absolute top of the entertainment industry and realize you're not at the top at all. You're just a puppet on a very expensive stage. The bigger conversation that nobody wants to have is about how Hollywood actually operates. We celebrate these massive stars. We worship their success. We want to be them. But we never ask what they had to sacrifice to get there. We never question what deals they had to make, what compromises they had to accept, what darkness they had to tolerate. And when you constantly chase fame without understanding the infrastructure behind it, you're not just pursuing a dream, you're potentially walking into a trap, a golden cage that looks beautiful from the outside, but feels like a prison once you're locked inside. Beyonce's situation is a wild example, but it's also a warning for anybody with dreams of making it big in entertainment. The more you climb in these industries, the more you realize that talent isn't enough. Success isn't just about being good at what you do, it's about who you know, what you're willing to do, what you're willing to ignore, and eventually, what you're willing to become. Let's keep it real about the power structures that govern entertainment. These aren't conspiracy theories anymore. We've seen enough scandals, enough exposés, enough victims coming forward to know that there are networks of powerful people who operate above the law. They protect each other, they cover for each other, and they punish anyone who threatens to expose their systems. Beyonce is threatening that system right now, simply by trying to leave, by taking her children and running, by potentially preparing to file for divorce from one of the most connected men in music. That's not just a personal decision. That's a declaration of war against people who have spent decades building and maintaining their power. And here's what's terrifying. They're already fighting back. The Instagram follower purge was just the beginning. Next will come the media smear campaigns, the anonymous sources claiming she's difficult to work with, the stories about her being controlling or unstable. They'll try to destroy her reputation so thoroughly that even if she speaks out, nobody will believe her. That's the playbook. That's how they've silenced people for generations. You don't need to physically harm someone when you can socially execute them, when you can turn public opinion against them so completely that their truth becomes irrelevant, when you can make them a cautionary tale instead of a credible witness. But here's the thing. Beyonce has something most victims don't have. She has the beehive. She has millions of people who have supported her for decades. She has a platform that can't be easily silenced. And she has resources to fight back legally, financially, and publicly, if she chooses to use them. The question is, will she? Or will the pressure be too much? Will the threats to her children be too severe? Will the promise of continued wealth and status be too tempting? Will she decide that staying silent is safer than speaking out? That's the choice she's facing right now, and it's a choice that will define not just her legacy, but potentially the future of how we talk about power and abuse in entertainment. If Beyonce can't break free, if someone with her resources and influence can't escape these systems, then what hope does anyone else have? And this story is still unfolding with way bigger implications than just one couple's drama. What we're witnessing right now might be the beginning of the biggest entertainment scandal in modern history. More details keep dropping every single day. More clues keep surfacing. Reports say that Beyonce has already started severing business ties with certain industry figures. She's allegedly dumping managers, handlers, and advisors who have been in her inner circle for years. That's not normal behavior. That's someone cutting out everyone she doesn't trust completely. Sources are whispering that divorce papers are already drafted, that lawyers have been working behind the scenes for months, that the only thing holding up the official announcement is negotiations about how to protect the children from the media firestorm that's coming. Because make no mistake, when this divorce goes public, it will be the biggest story in entertainment, bigger than Brad and Angelina, bigger than Johnny and Amber. This will dominate headlines for years. But here's what has people really concerned. There are rumors, unconfirmed but persistent, that Beyonce isn't just planning a divorce. She's allegedly preparing to write a tell-all, a memoir, a documentary, something that will expose not just her marriage, but the entire system that enabled it, the handlers, the enablers, the powerful figures who knew what was happening and did nothing. If that's true, if she actually goes through with it, the entertainment industry will never be the same. We're talking about someone who has been on the inside for over 20 decades, someone who has seen everything, someone who knows where all the bodies are buried, metaphorically speaking. Her testimony alone could bring down empires. But that's also what makes her so dangerous. People with that kind of knowledge usually don't get to tell their stories. They get silenced, they get discredited, they get destroyed before they can speak. And Beyonce knows this. That's why she ran. That's why she's hiding her children in a fortress in England. That's why she's moving like someone who knows her life is in danger. The spiritual warfare angle keeps coming back up too. Multiple sources describe Beyonce as being genuinely terrified of supernatural consequences. She allegedly believes that the rituals Jay-Z participated in have attached dark entities to their family. Whether you believe in that or not, the fact that she believes it means she's fighting a battle on multiple fronts: legal, financial, social, and spiritual. And honestly, maybe she's not wrong to be scared. Maybe there are forces at play that we don't fully understand. Maybe the reason so many artists talk about selling their souls isn't just a metaphor. Maybe there really are prices to pay for certain levels of success. Prices that don't show up on contracts, but get collected eventually. That's the part that keeps me up at night about this story. Not just what's happening to Beyonce and her family, but what it reveals about the entire entertainment industry, about how many other artists are trapped in similar situations, how many other people are suffering behind their public smiles, how many other families are being destroyed by the same systems that create our favorite music and movies. Stay locked in, because this story is about to get even crazier, and I'm not exaggerating. More details are dropping literally every day. More clues keep surfacing. Reports say that major media outlets are sitting on explosive stories, waiting for the right time to drop them. This is just the beginning. So, drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Do you think Beyonce was really blindsided by all of this? Or do you think she knew more than she's letting on and now is trying to play the victim? And do you think she'll actually go through with exposing the industry? Or will she take a settlement and stay quiet like so many others have? I want to hear what you think, because this community has been incredible at spotting details that mainstream media misses. Y'all have been connecting dots that nobody else is talking about, and that's exactly why they're scared of platforms like this, because we're not controlled by the same people who control traditional media. Make sure you like this video if you want to see more deep dives into what's really happening in Hollywood. Hit subscribe, because we're going to be covering every single twist and turn of this story as it develops. And turn on notifications so you don't miss a single update, because I promise you, this situation is about to explode in ways nobody is expecting. We're talking about potential federal investigations, possible criminal charges, industry-wide exposés that could take down some of the biggest names in entertainment. This isn't just gossip anymore. This is history being written in real time, and you're watching it unfold right here. I appreciate every single one of you for rocking with me and supporting this channel, for being willing to ask the hard questions that others won't touch, for not just accepting the official narratives, but actually thinking critically about what's really happening behind the scenes. And I'll see you in the next one, which is dropping very soon, because this story is moving fast. Stay safe out there, protect your energy, question everything you see in mainstream media. And remember, when someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. The signs are always there. We just have to be willing to see them. Peace.